Hi, Damien and Marcus from 100 Not Out here. MP.
Yes, Damo.
We all know the importance of having a diary, but who wants a boring old day planner?
Not me.
Enter the Journey of Me.
Ta-da!
The incredible 8-month wellness journal designed especially for wellness peeps like you.
Yes, Damo, this beautiful 8-month wellness guide is filled with questions, planners, exercises, reflective notes and more. Endorsed by the Up for a Chat girls and loved the world over, the Journey of Me is a must-have if you're ready to live your best life for life.
To purchase your very own Journey of Me and receive a free set of inspirational postcards, simply enter the code COUCH at www.wellinew.com. That's www.wellineeux.com.
TheWellnessCouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cyndi O'Meara, Karen Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Karen Smith.
Oh, where's Kim Morrison?
Ooh, she's a touch.
She's late. She's running late. She'll come in soon. But I'm Cyndi O'Meara.
And we have one of your actual advisors on the show today, Miss Cyndi, and it's not often that we have the luxury of being able to speak to somebody who is so close to you and so close to what you're going through with your gorgeous little girl, Casey. So, and I know I shouldn't call her a little girl, should I? I can't help it, hey. I just think of her, just think of all your kids as still little people, you know? So
I know. They're all adults and she's 24. But the reason we asked Kirsty is that we did a podcast on what was happening to Casey just not last week, the week before, and we have been inundated with people having aha moments going, that's what's happening to me. Maybe that's what my problem is. And Kim and I were talking because we were at a wedding together, and I thought, well, we need to get Kirsty on. And number one, I think it would be wonderful to hear Kirsty's story, because the reason that she's helping my beautiful daughter at the moment is because of her story. And I've always said that mums change the world. And here is the most incredible mother that is changing the world and doing amazing things for people's health. So welcome, Kirsty.
yes,
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
Miss
you.
Kirsty Wirth. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped to be here. It's lovely to chat to you both, and to obviously Kim when she arrives.
The tart. So, Kirsty, hit us with, I guess, where do we start? I mean, do we want to start with what she's doing with Casey right now, Cyndi, or do you think that the story is going to be better to come first?
Look, I think I love Kirsty's story. Like, I met Kirsty at the Wellness Summit in August this year, and I believe that the world puts people in the right place at the right time. And I beamed over to her stand because she's got these beautiful cultures, and I went over to the stand, I want to know what your carrier is, and because I've been looking for a really good culture for years, and always when I find a good culture, either the carrier I don't agree with or the company that's making it, such as DuPont or someone like that, I'm not prepared to be associated with. So I thought I'd go over and I'd ask her, what can you tell me about your cultures? And that's when I fell in love with her, basically. Girl crush.
Beautiful.
Right back at you, Cyndi, right back at you.
We had a lovely conversation, and then I interviewed Kirsty for my education and for my for my club, and just for everything to do with changing habits. So I just think it's really important that we see where Kirsty comes from, what her life was like, her adventurous rock climbing, crazy life, to becoming married and having children, and what happened from there. So Kirsty, take it away. Give us your life story.
in a quick snapshot.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got plenty of time, love.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
no, relax. Yeah.
Oh, well, Well, like I suppose it always boils down to, like everyone who comes into this realm, that I have always had health problems. And, it displays itself in interesting ways because I just love sport and I love being outside and I'm a very social person. It did display itself quite differently for me. Like I was always very overweight in school and I just would always have random problems and bloating and lots of acne and always had muscle pain. And at the age of 13, I had such severe back pain I couldn't go to school, and then the fatigue would get quite bad. And, as you get a little bit older, those mental health insecurities and things like that would sort of start to seep in. And then the sleep problems would start. And it just seemed that every year a new problem would happen and a new health crisis would seem to happen to me. But because I had all of my outdoor sports and I loved travel so much, I think that's just kind of what held me together a bit because, I'd always be in the outdoors. And as Cyndi said, I love rock climbing and I love bushwalking and I love being in the ocean. And I spent a lot of my time after I left school traveling and doing those things. So, I think it was, it was a really good thing for me to have because otherwise goodness knows what would have happened to me. And so I always knew that, I don't know, I just had this feeling, look, food certainly has something to do with this. So just before my kids were born, I went off gluten and dairy and I noticed quite a big difference. And, that was sort of one of those light bulb moments thinking, right, well, that seems to help somewhat. So what else, hiding within is going to make me feel better than what I feel at the moment? And, I as everyone does, you just sort of push it push it away and think, oh, it's not that bad, it's okay. And when you are young, you can get away with it. But it wasn't until my son was born that I realised, look, there's not just me, and now he's got the problems. He was so colicky when he just would not settle, he wouldn't sleep, and I just look around at all these other mums just, all bliss. And I was like, where's that bliss for me, people? I'm getting no bliss here. And it's just like I was the one covered in vomit and I was the one up all night. And I just couldn't understand it because I love living an active, healthy lifestyle and it just wasn't sort of working for me. So, my son he progressed and he was doing fine. And then at about 18 months, that just all really stopped and everything just really fell apart. He left us. Like he just sort of seemed to drift off into a sunset and he never came back. And so at 3, he was diagnosed with autism. And around that time, it was so obvious to myself and to my husband that he had some really full-on health issues. And then he was, born naturally. He was breastfed, but he was given antibiotics for ear infections. He was given all sorts of things for his colic. And being a first-time mum, I just, yes, doctor, whatever's going to make him better and whatever's going to let me sleep and, calm and settle. And, of course, at that time, my mental health wasn't that great. I was like, what's happening here? And it wasn't until my husband, who's a nurse, said to me, look, my liver patients have yellow diarrhea like that. This is just not okay. Like, what's going on here? So we just started to investigate what was going on, and I started to investigate about myself. At the same time, I started to investigate about Noah. And, it really sort of started thinking, well, maybe it is the food we're eating. Maybe it is something to do with the environment. And so we really got serious and we just took responsibility for what was happening in our family's life, because the prognosis for Noah was just terrible. Like, he's not going to function. He's not going to meet milestones. He may be non-verbal. He certainly, won't be going to a normal school, all that kind of stuff. And, I suppose there's 2 choices. There's the one, okay, well, this is the way it's going to be, or there's me, who's this really stubborn person. It's just like, I'm not accepting that for a minute. So we just researched. We got some really specific tests done. I just kept reading, and I had just finished working at Monash University. I was an academic there, and I was studying my PhD. So I had access to some really, really wonderful, resources. And so I just read and did as much as I could. And the test results and all my reading, it revealed a lot about the gut and how the gut can literally just impact your whole life. It can change everything. And we got some really specific genetic tests done, and that also opened up a whole another can of worms, and in a good way, because it certainly helped us to go, okay, this is what we're dealing with. But of course, there's the other option of, oh my gosh, what's happening here? So, step by step, we just started regaining our health. We worked really hard at fixing our gut. We've just changed everything, and I've talked to Cyndi about this before, but, we just got rid of all of our toxins in our life, and we got air purifiers. We chucked out all of our plastic. We just did everything that we possibly could to try and keep the toxins really, really low, so we could start to clear out the toxins that were already inside of us, let alone, putting toxins back on top again. So, we just kept going and kept rebuilding, and it was really difficult, and we had to push through, and it was really, really tough and really isolating and really hurt, but we just gained such amazing results. So, for myself, I just couldn't believe how I was progressing, and all of my pain and fatigue just went, and I could sleep, and I saw the world in quite a different light. And and then my son just kept improving, and we went to the OT, and he said, look, you've changed the course of your son's life. He's now going to reach milestones. He's going to go to a normal school. He's going to function. You've really set the groundwork and change what it was going to be. And so, step by step, Noah really wasn't verbal until he was about 5. And so he's got so much catching up to do, but he's just going great guns at that. And it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But, we're all just growing and learning together and improving every day. And from all of this, I just couldn't, hang up my hat and go, oh, okay, we've done that now, let's move on. I just thought of all the families that we'd encountered and all the people that we'd met, and thought, I can't stand by with all this knowledge in my head and all of this understanding of how hard it is to push through, and the mental stability and the mental stubbornness and all of those sorts of things that you need to push through. I just felt like I had a lot to give back to the community. So, so that's really what happened. And through all of that, while we were healing my son's gut, I realised, okay, we're going to need some pretty serious, hardcore therapeutic strength probiotics in all of this. And I just couldn't find any that, I could find some, but they were just so expensive. And for what our family needed, we were going to have to go through a $250 bottle of probiotics a day per person in the family. So, we were spending thousands and thousands of dollars on probiotics. So, I just decided, why don't I just make my own cultures and start fermenting food from my own cultures from therapeutic probiotics, and then we can have them all through the day and use it as functional food to rebuild our liver and rebuild our immune system, yet we're still getting all of that therapeutic strength of probiotics, because at the start there was such limited food that we could have, and I was so worried about our nutrient profile and being so malnourished, but we couldn't have any of the sugar or the carbs because it, disrupted our guts so much. So I just thought, look, there's got to be a better way. How do I get nutrients into my kids and myself without having to worry about all the sugars? So along came our cultures, and
and they're my favourite. I love them because now I ferment everything. I ferment juices and the coconut water and the coconut cream. I juiced up some turmeric, garlic, and onion. I fermented that.
That's amazing, Cyndi.
Yeah. I fermented beetroot. So I'm fermenting everything with your beautiful cultures.
Yeah, they do. You know, they really do change the state of play so quickly that people just jump on and they're like, oh, my gosh, where have these been all my life? I can't believe it. They're quite significant to changing your health, and you really need to get that serious if you really want to get down and change your health. So, yeah, that's why everyone seems to be so happy with them, which is so wonderful.
And you know what else? They're really easy. You know, it's not about heating to a certain temperature, bringing it down, adding the culture, incubating. I put my product into a jar. I then take a cup of your beautiful culture, put that in the jar, and then I let it sit on the bench for depending. I'm at the point now, and I don't know if this is a good point to be at, but I'm at the point where I taste it and I go, yeah, that's enough fermentation. Let's put it in the fridge now.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got a palate for it now, Cyndi.
I do. I really do. And even the coconut cream, the yogurt, I go in there and I taste it and I go, nah, that could go a little bit longer. I'll let that for another, 6 hours.
Yeah. And it's so funny when people start fermenting, and especially with our cultures, because they are really full on and they're very therapeutic. So, you've got to go in there knowing that it's going to make a serious difference to your gut. So some people need to start that low and slow, and they may not ferment it for as long just to give their body a chance to get used to it. But probably where you're at now, Cyndi, and where people get at when they've been, they're like, oh, no, it needs another, this isn't tart enough for me. I want the big guns. I want it to be as strong as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, Kirsty, how old is Noah now?
Noah's 7 and my daughter is 5, and she's had her own health crisis, or many of them. So, when she was born, I thought, oh, my gosh, here we go again.
And was it the same thing?
She had a severe, she stopped breathing and had to be resuscitated 13 times to her vaccinations. And, she's had a lot of liver problems, and had it not been for our knowledge and our change in lifestyle and change in diet and being so serious about what we do, she would have gone exactly the same way that Noah did. But we nipped it in the bud so early that she's just, she's thriving, absolutely thriving. So it's wonderful to see, this really does change someone's life from that early. From 6 months, it can completely change someone's life. So
that's incredible.
And I've met both of them on Skype, and I was having a Skype meeting with Kirsty, and they came in after school and they were really excited, and Noah just was rattling on and chatting away and telling me all these amazing things.
How cute.
Oh, I just cried. I absolutely cried to know that he was diagnosed with autism and maybe nonverbal. He would be nonverbal and didn't start speaking till he was 5. He spoke very well, actually.
Yeah, we can't shut him up now.
Wow. Amazing. And so, I mean, I'm about to go to a fermentation workshop. Cyndi, you will be so proud of me.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. I've got one coming up in the next week, I think, on the Sunshine Coast. So I'm so looking forward to to understanding it, because you guys talk about fermentation all the time, but it's something that I've always struggled with when I eat fermented food, because I think my gut is so compromised that when I eat it, it makes it worse.
And look, sorry to interrupt, but
great.
That's the problem. People, there's 2 problems with that. Let me break that down. The first issue is that when your gut is so out of whack, when you have fermented foods, it goes to work. It gets down there and does its job. But if there are pathogens in your gut, those pathogens release toxins when they're being attacked by let's call them good and bad guys. I know that's quite a, simplistic way of looking at it. But
keep it simple. That's what I say. I like it
Cyndi
simple.
knows that I can get very tech very quickly, so I'll keep it very simple. But when you put those probiotics in your body and you start to change the way it works and back to how it should, those pathogenic the bad guys, they release those toxins, and those toxins are really, really, really detrimental to your liver, they're quite bad. I mean, some of them have this, they've got the affinity to alcohol. They're acetaldehyde. So you feel like, some people feel like they're hungover. Some people get the joy of feeling drunk first because they release all these alcoholic toxins. So you get like a bit of a high, and then, they just sort of slap you down because your liver just gets so under pressure from all the toxins that your gut releases. And the second thing is that some ferments use bacteria which produces histamines, and histamines can be quite hard on some people's body depending on their genetics. And so if you've got a predisposition to struggle a bit with histamines, or if your body's a bit under pressure anyway, a lot of people find that, they find it hard to take on fermented foods, and so they stop and they think, oh, I can't have them. And that's what makes me so upset, because it's like that's the best reason that you need to push.
Sounds
like probiotics and really get down and have get onto it and fix that dysbiosis.
And
Kirsty, it's Kim here. Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello, partners.
I have been listening, and I think I need some fermented grapes right now, having been running around after children. Anyway. Hello, babies. I wanted to ask you, I've been listening, and I wanted to know, Kirsty, what is the big thing around fermentation? As in, this has obviously been around for many cultures, and it's very traditional, and it's been something. Why did it go out of fashion as such? And why is there such a need for it? I mean, we know that the food's gone, absolutely haywire as far as what we're all eating. But what do you truly believe has been the cause of all these gut issues? Is there one thing, or is there a number of things?
Yeah, well, there's a number of things. I mean, the reason why it went out of fashion is really the refrigerator came in, because traditionally fermented foods were used by farmers and all people in society, really, that they would harvest their goods in summertime or spring, and then they really wanted to make sure that they still had that in winter. And the best way to do that, because they didn't have canning or any processed food, so the only way they could do it was to add some salt and then ferment it in jars and then put it down in their cellar. So in the middle of winter, they could bring it out and they could have fresh food. And obviously, on the boats, even right back to the explorers, they had Captain Cook took sauerkraut with him for the vitamin C from the cabbage. So, his crew didn't get scurvy. So they knew that it was going to be great to give them that fresh food in, drought times maybe, or in the dark of winter. And they also knew that it had beneficial property, feelings on their body. But it wasn't really clear how wonderful fermented foods were until, the science came along and we could really see that it had a really positive effect on the gut microbiome, and it helps alkaline the body and helps, provide those bacteria in your gut with some good food. So it was, the reason why it's out of fashion is processed food, refrigerators. People are so busy, and also it hasn't been handed down. So, my mum, I've talked about this before, she taught me how to make awesome scones, which is great. But, that tradition of fermented foods and how to do that just hasn't been passed down. And so people literally don't know how to do it. So like Karen's going to do, you've got to go and seek out a fermenting workshop. And in in traditional times, cultures would just do it every day. And so the kids were around it. The kids knew how to do it. And so when they grew up, they just did it because that's what they knew how to do. So I think there's that lack of storytelling and a lack of tradition being passed down. And, look, I could go on for another 2 hours on why do we need fermented foods and what's happening, and why do we, why is it coming back so much? But it's just really because our gut microbiomes are being damaged so much now by today's lifestyle. I mean, not only is it, we've got so many kids being born by C-section, so they're not literally being seeded from their mother with, all those really important bacteria that you need as a child so you can digest your mum's, milk, your breast milk, and digest all of that beautiful plant fibre that you need and to grow a healthy immune system. But we've got lots of antibiotics and soil quality is not as good, and there's just so many things that are happening, and people are taking a lot of medication. They're stressed. I mean, we now know through science that within 20 minutes of a stressful situation, your whole gut microbiome can change. And that's scary for me because mine has been poor my whole life because it was handed down from my mum. And so if I'm stressed, I've got to be really careful that it doesn't go back and reset to what it was. I'm always, managing it and keeping on top of it. And so, yeah, there's so many issues that are happening in today's environment. And, just drinking from the tap, it's full of chlorine, and chlorine directly kills gut bacteria. So whereas, in traditional times we would have had rainwater. So all of those issues are compounding on the problem that people are getting this dysbiosis, and thankfully people are starting to realise, fermented foods, that's going to help me digest my proteins and my fats, and it's going to help me assimilate my nutrients and keep strong and healthy and nourish my body and nourish my immune system. So hooray, it's back on.
Actually, I just want to reiterate what you said there about stress, and within 20 minutes it changes the microbiome. Just even, I reckon it changes in seconds, because if you get a shock, your stomach turns immediately, and diarrhea can be within minutes. So I'm just wanting people to realise this does happen. It's not something that, we're just learning now. It's happening to people all the time when they have a shock or they get stressed, and we change everything, and the bowels change. And I just think people have to think literally about this and what's happening, and start to realise that we've got to start making some drastic changes. I'd actually love to lead the conversation to when you leaped from, and I don't know if it was a leap or how it was, but how did you go? Actually, I'm going to make a statement and then I'm going to ask you the question. So one of the things that I do with Changing Habits is that I educate, and I have a 12-month education program on nutrition for people to understand what's happening in our food, in every aspect of our food, and including the microbiome and what happens in there. And what that's for is for people to become empowered with education, to then help themselves and their family and friends, and create a ripple effect through the community. So I see you as somebody who got the knowledge, got the information, and I know that you had to search high and low. There was no one to guide you through this. Like you did have, I know there were people that really helped as far as you read books and things like that. But how did you go from all this massive amount of information that you collected over the years in order to heal your son and your daughter and your own gut? Did your husband have a good gut? Was he good? He was good.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He was pretty good. Yeah.
So how did you leap from that to then go, I need to help people. I need to get people well, because it's because of that leap that I have learnt a massive amount of information, and my beautiful daughter Casey is coming out the other side.
Yeah, I find it a scary one, definitely. But really the leap was that I just felt better. And suddenly when you feel better, you see the world very differently. And when you see the world differently, it's like you come out from the ocean in a periscope or something, and you suddenly look up and you go, oh my gosh, there's a whole world out here. I didn't realise. I was feeling so crap and so stuck in survival in my own world that I didn't realise that, there was this whole other world out there that needs my help. And it's not because, I was sort of, stuck in a room away from society. I mean, I travelled so much and saw so many communities and lived in numerous cultures, and I was so exposed to, amazing things. So it's not as if I didn't have that experience. It was just suddenly I had a working body, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I can give back. I'm full. I'm like, my cup's full, and now I can give it back to everybody. And I don't know if that quite makes sense, but the second thing is that it was tough. And like you said, Cyndi, I had a research centre in Canada that I worked with, and another one in Italy, and I had a lady at Guelph University. I mean, I had some really high profile people, but I had no one to hold my hand. We had a lot of friends that were, oh gosh, I don't really know what you're doing and this is freaking me out, so I think we'll just sort of leave you to it. And it was isolating. It was really isolating. So I didn't want that experience, and I didn't want Noah's challenges and all that hard effort and time that he went through to be of no use. So, but I think it was that I got well, and I sort of came out the other side and thought, oh, wow, if anyone else felt like we did, I got to get out there and let them know that you can actually come through this. It's okay. You can do it. So,
you know what's really interesting is that I got a text from Casey 2 days ago, and it was, oh, my gosh, I live overseas. I'm living abroad. Now, she's been there since June and not well since that time too. And she's just had this realisation. So it is.
New Zealand. New Zealand is home, Dave. New Zealand is a great place to call home. Let's talk about that. Kirsty, look, there's a lot of people out there with problems. Without a doubt, there's lots of people that are suffering, and there's lots of, sadly, cases and situations like Casey. What about for those of us that don't think we have a problem, that that don't seem to have gut issues or health issues as such? Is the importance still there? And if so, what's the best thing for people like us?
Well, I think the first thing is that when you should never assume you don't have a gut problem, because sore sinuses or a bad back or a funny knee or ringing in your ears or that silly rash that only comes every couple of months or that funny snivelly nose, basically everything that happens in someone's world starts in their gut. And so if you've got arthritis or fibromyalgia or anything like that, or you're really fatigued and your memory's just shocking, that's all coming from your gut. So I suppose the first thing that I would say is make sure that if you do have any niggling health concerns, make sure that you do realise that it is coming from your gut. And and if you don't have any health concerns and you're this perfect pristine temple, which is just awesome, the thing is that just to make sure that you maintain the quality of your gut microbiome, so you feed it well with the right foods, and you minimise or limit all the foods that are going to destroy the gut microbiome. And so, of course, that's going to be sugar and processed foods and, those Franken foods. And you're going to replace them with foods that are going to feed your gut microbiome. So you're going to, artichokes is a great way to feed your gut microbiome. And we know that, fibre is another way of because it's like a little forest in there. And if you don't feed it and put the right soil in there, it eventually just sort of dies away. And as you age, your digestive enzymes and your gut microbiome, they have a bit more trouble because you're just aging. So it's another wonderful way of ensuring that if you add fermented foods every time you eat, they're going to help you digest as your body gets a little bit older and, things just slow down a little bit. So every single person can benefit from them. Absolutely.
So if someone has got, say, ringing in the ears and a lower back problem, let's just say they're two little issues, or they could be big issues, would you put them on a regime like you've done, Casey, or would you just start with the fermented foods and doing things like that?
Yeah, so if the ringing in the ears and the back problem is more a really good sign that their liver is overburdened, and so it would be more about using those fermented foods to help the liver to detox and also take the pressure off the gut microbiome, so the liver's not doing so much work and the pancreas isn't getting as many enzymes out, and it just takes the pressure off the body. Mm-hmm. And when the body has less pressure on it, it has a chance to heal. And when you take that pressure away, it becomes really obvious what the problem is and how to fix it. But you've got to be in tune or have someone like me working with you to realise, oh, goodness me, I didn't realise that this was actually causing my ringing in the ears, or, you know, my back problems caused because I'm so dehydrated because I can't digest any food and my liver's working overtime. So, it just depends what the person's problem is and how I work with them. That, you know, it's nutting out that what are your goals and how do we get to that point.
And so, Kirsty, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think having a coach, like if you go to a doctor, the doctor just does a diagnosis, gives you a medication, and you walk away. Whereas with Kirsty, it's you sign up for 6 months. It's a 6-month coaching program. And look at you, Karen. You do a coaching program. I do a 12-month, education program. Kim does a program. We all do them. This is exactly the same. We're being coached through our health as opposed to our finances or our business or our education. And I just feel that we've lost that art. We were talking the other day, Kirsty and I, and we don't have that sage at the top of the hill that you go to because she was the witch doctor or the medicine man who could help you through this. We don't have them anymore.
No, and, you know, it worries me because people have health concerns and they finally get in to see a specialist and they see them and then they say, I'll come back in 3 months. And, you know, when that happened to us, I just walked away. It's like, but what am I going to do for the next 3 months? They haven't actually given me, like, they don't give you any tangible, okay, this week we're going to do this, this and this. I want you to check in with me tomorrow. I want to know exactly how you're feeling. I want, I want some really good description of all of the things that you're feeling.
What's just coming out the other end.
Yeah.
Oh, see, it's always going to go to that, isn't it? Oh,
I've been waiting.
Have
we talked poo?
No.
Has poo and parasites?
No.
And, having the conversation a bit later, I just want to know, have we talked about the absolute alien creatures that are within our gut and what it looks like when you actually Google?
Oh, vomit factor.
But I think on that, though, I just want to say that there are some parasites and some pathogens that live in your body, and we were talking about it briefly before, like the toxins that they release, they severely interfere with people's mental health. They interfere with their ability to make decisions. They interfere with so many of those neurotransmitters, and, so this is why people need a health coach, because until you clean up your gut and you stop those toxins affecting those certain parts of your brain especially, you can't actually make valid decisions. You can't make conscious, appropriate decisions. And so you do kind of need to hand over to someone and say, you just need to run the show here for a couple of months because I'm literally can't make decisions. I'm so fatigued. I can't wake up. I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to cook myself today. I'm just so lost. And the expectation on someone to get better when they feel that bad it's just not fair. And secondly, it's not their fault. They've got a toxic factory happening within them that is literally altering their brain chemicals. And, to suddenly ask them on their own to turn around and, in between each of the appointments at the specialist just to come back and have had that sorted out. I just think it's too much for someone. While someone's, either a mum or they're working really hard for their boss or they're at school and they're trying to learn, it's just too much pressure. And, of course, as we all know, if your adrenal glands go down, then it's even worse for your gut and it's even worse for healing. So it's, it's just people just need someone to help them.
Kirsty, I just want you to know that I got a phone call from my son at school today, and he rang very quickly and went, Mum, it's Jacob here. I'm just letting you know that I'm going to the sick bay. I said, what do you mean you're going to the sick bay, Jacob? And he goes, it's parasites. It's just parasites. Just know that it's parasites.
Oh, my God.
And the reality was he hadn't studied for his physics test, but he's told them in sick bay that he has parasitic issues. So, and they're not going to argue with that.
No.
So I'm just telling you, the more knowledge that these kids have, it's actually scary. They're using it as a weapon, not a tool.
Who is this child? He's hilarious.
I love that. I love that so much. See, that's a thinker. I like that.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Although, if he was one of my students, I would have pulled him back into line, that's for sure.
Yeah. I agree with you, what you're saying, Kirsty. Like when we started with Casey, I remember Casey saying to you, well, I've got exams and I probably can start this in 8 weeks. And you just looked at it and went, you will be shut down in 8 weeks. You will be sleeping. You will basically not be functioning. You have to start today. And I remember that you gave her instructions of what she had to do, which we started on that very day. And all Casey did was be a robot, I reckon, for 5 weeks, where what you told her to do, she did. She didn't question it. She just went. And if I tried to add something, she'd go, Mum, Kirsty didn't tell me to do that. And I went, okay, fine, I won't, no, not doing anything. But I noticed that when the tide started to turn and things started to, pick up for her, and that she started to do research. She wanted to know what her test results were. She couldn't care less about her test results. It was quite interesting. It's been really interesting watching as a mother this whole process of her now becoming really interested in what's happening in her body. And so I know a lot of people are like this. They've shut down.
Yeah.
And to say, oh, we'll see you in 3 months, it is. It's like, oh, what am I going to do for the next 3 months? Get worse? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that is what's going to happen. And, and the other problem with that is people keep withdrawing food from their diet because they're, I can't handle that anymore, or that makes me feel like this, or that makes me feel like that. And, as happened to us as a family, you get so scared of food that you end up eating rice and lamb because you just, oh, my gosh, what's happening? I can't have this. I can't have that. And then, how are you supposed to fire up your neurotransmitters and make serotonin or do anything when you're literally starving? You might not be hungry, but your brain's starving. So a lot of my clients come to me in that sort of malnourished point. They're overnourished, but they're very malnourished. Their brains are malnourished. And that's, I had Casey on liver within seconds because the B vitamins in liver was really going to get those neurotransmitters back up and firing, and using that, that functional fermented nutrition. Like, instead of popping supplements, you're using food that's easily digestible so you can actually start to rebuild your nutrients and rebuild your hormones and all the stuff that goes along with being a functioning human.
And I think the other thing is that you're tough. You are so tough. You don't let anything pass anybody. And whereas Casey would ring me and go, Mum, this is what's happening. I said, ring Kirsty. She will say what to do. Whereas I would go, I remember when she was, dealing with the oregano oil, and she would go into a rash, and I'm going, oh, honey, maybe you need to put a carrier oil with it or something like that. And then you ring her and you go, no, just keep pushing through it. Just do it.
Can I ask
people
you?
Need it.
Yeah. Can I ask, Kirsty, when I was looking after athletes and when I was an athlete myself, one of the key ways we knew how well an athlete was looking at their poo.
Oh,
and I just it's bizarre, but even when my kids were babies, I could always judge how well they were by looking at their poo. I just want to ask you what your thoughts are around this. You could look at your dog's poo and know how healthy they are. You can tell by poo. Poo tells a lot.
Yeah, it does. When I was 19, I lived in the right up in the mountains in India with the Tibetan government in exile. And so I was really fortunate. I got to see the Dalai Lama quite regularly with the work that I was doing. And I got sick. And when I went to the doctor, the Tibetan medical doctor, didn't ask me anything about my symptoms. And, I was brought up in Australia, so I was waiting for how's the cough or this or, where's the rash or whatever. He just asked me about my poo. And I just was like, what? What's going on here? Like, this was the first time I'd ever encountered that whole concept of, your health and what's happening in your body is displayed through your gut. And, we now know that, and, all of your microbes and so much of your bacteria comes through in your poo, like when you go to the toilet. And so if it's healthy and well-formed, it shows that within your gut it's healthy and well-formed. And if it's not, like, poor Noah, when he was at his worst, it was yellow and he was literally just running out of his bottom. He had no control at all. And we were told that was just toddler diarrhea and it's normal. But, my husband was, but we, at work we have to keep charts on everyone's poo and this would be a concern and we would call a doctor. So it shows the health of your insides, and what happens on the inside is, everything about what comes out on the outside.
It's have like we your life fecal transplants?
No, we haven't yet.
Oh God!
Can you tell us all about those?
I just want to make one comment. Kirsty, it's almost like your life was preordained to do this by what you've just told us just then. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's like you're already learning about this at 19, even though you didn't know that this would be your journey. So it's lovely to see. Now you can talk about transplants, okay?
I think Kaz wants one.
Give me strength. I'm still stuck on the fermentation, thinking to myself, is it dairy? Is it dairy? Like I'm so convinced I need it, and I just have to push through the pain. But I'm thinking, is it dairy? Oh my God! And then now you want to talk about poo. Oh, and liver. Oh, liver. Kirsty, we haven't met yet, my love. But if ever there was a princess, it's me. If ever there was a wuss, there's me. If there's anybody who can't bear snot, spit, poo, and vomit, it's me.
That's all right. I'll take you out in the bush and we'll get you sorted.
No,
that's all right.
No, can't bear it. I must be able to take my straightening iron.
Kirsty, just don't even go there.
Yeah, they've given up on me.
Now that's just an extra challenge for me.
I love it.
Oh, trust me, she's a challenge for all our speakers. She's the challenge.
Stop. Okay, go. Do poo transplants. Talk about poo transplants. Go. Do it.
Well, tell us what they're about and who you get one from. Like, could I literally go to the toilet and someone would get my poo and put it in something? Like, give us the rundown on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Well, I have had one, and both my children have had one, so I'm in a position to talk about them. We went to Canada to have our FMTs done. Now, the thing is that I think people believe that FMTs are going to cure every problem and they're going to solve the world, but in the science, we know that it's the Clostridium difficile, which is a very, very horrible pathogen. And that's the specific pathogen that the FMT seems to work best on, because Clostridium difficile is actually basically immune to antibiotics. So, yeah, it seems that it goes in there, the FMT goes in and crowds out the pathogens and basically reseeds and repopulates and starts afresh. So, it certainly does work. I mean, Noah had few words and he couldn't talk that much. He was talking, but not very much. And, the day after he had his FMT, he was talking sentences and it was quite astounding what, the change in his body and the change that it made to him. But, with the FMTs, it's you take someone else's stool and all of their beautiful bacteria that they've got in their stool, and you then put it inside, so they're a donor, and then you put it inside someone who has a dysbiosis in their gut, and it repopulates and it changes the environment. So it's and the Chinese have been doing it for years. Elephants do it, when, baby elephants, they don't eat any plants or anything for, I think it's 6 months or something, and they just eat their mother's stool. So, it's a lot of animals and a lot of cultures have known about this for quite some time. but I think we get a bit freaked out by it, that, you know, it is basically just taking someone else's bacteria and repopulating with your own.
Oh, everyone's very quiet.
No.
Yeah. Are you there? I just thought that you dropped out.
No. Look, we're hearing about it more and more, and there Perlmutter just wrote a book. It's not Grain Brain, it's the other one, Brain Maker. And he starts to talk about probiotic enemas, and he talks about fecal transplants. And as we were saying the other day, Kirsty, people need to stop being princesses and princes and realise that these are old traditional ways of healing, such as the coffee enemas and the I don't know if probiotic enemas were going back in those days, but, you know, these, as you were saying, the Chinese have been doing this for a long time. And I think I would like to see it become something that's a little bit more mainstream, as opposed to everybody freaking out about it. I know in my office everybody's getting enema kits.
Hooray! But I think, you know, it's really important to let people know that, you know, an FMT is wonderful, and gosh, it changes everything. I mean, it certainly changed my life. It literally changed my life, because when I was born, I wasn't inoculated from my mum with these really important bacteria called Bacteroides. I basically had none in my gut. So you can't get them in a probiotic pill, and it's very hard to grow them. So I didn't really have many options. But there are a lot of people that have, you know, they've had a good life. They've eaten foods that possibly aren't that great for their gut microbiome, and then they've heard about FMTs and they know that they've got problems, and so they just think, oh, well, I'll have an FMT and that will solve the problem.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not going to solve the problem, because unless you take it seriously and you change your lifestyle and you change what you put in your body and on your body, the FMT won't hold and you'll just be in the same spot of bother. So I get concerned that people see it as another quick fix.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've already destroyed your gut microbiome. If you get someone else's, you're still going to destroy that if you don't take responsibility for your health and take responsibility for why you got yourself in that place in the first place. So FMTs are wonderful, and I just think it's just such a great step forward for what we can do to really, without huge medical intervention, make big changes in someone's health. But it concerns me that I know lots of people that have not prepared or planned or done anything like we've done with Casey, and gone and had these FMTs, and then, you know, 2 years later or whatever, they're just back in the same boat, and that, you know, that worries me. That's but.
Well, I was looking at research, Kirsty, on the FMTs, and they were saying, you know, that it doesn't work for all, and, you know, I'm wondering if they've also, and I haven't gone into the exact research, I've just been listening to it. I'm wondering if they look at, well, did the person change their lifestyle? Did they change their environment? Did they change their gut environment by putting the right foods in back, you know, not going on the bad food diet, but going on a really good food diet, or doing the preparation that you've done and that what I know that is needed? Are they the ones that will work so much better and hold and stay? It'd be interesting to see the research as it comes out more and more.
Yeah, and look, the research centre that we work with in Canada was quite interesting, because we went over, and, you know, the doctor that we worked with is like, you know, he's the dude in the world. He's the leading sort of guy in this. And you know, there I was, you would have laughed so much. So there I was telling him, well, the donors need to go on this diet. They need to cut this out. I want them on this specific probiotic before they, you know, give it. And I this, and this, and I need that for at least 2 weeks beforehand. And then, and they were just looking at me like, what, is that going to make a difference to the FMT? And I was like, what are you talking about? Have you not put this in your research? And so I just like gave them a whole new headache. But it was
good girl, well done.
Yeah. And we have a donor back here, and, you know, we're very specific about what the donor needs to eat. And, you know, and I work with the CSIRO back here in Adelaide, and some PhD students, and, you know, they're coming to me and saying, look, we've got funding and we're doing this research on the gut microbiome in kids with autism, but we actually don't know what the successful diet is. We're not sure what to feed them. And so, the science sort of hasn't caught up with all of the facets that come around an FMT. And, of course, there's lots of people working on it. So, I wouldn't, put it out there that they're all working on it and making huge inroads. But exactly that, Cyndi. You've got to be so serious about, if someone went and had a liver transplant and then they went back drinking, that's known, it's shunned upon, and the medical community know that that's not going to help the liver transplant. And it's the same with the gut microbiome. If you're going to have a new one, you got to look after it.
Yeah.
What about colonics and enemas then? What's the benefit and what's the point? And
what was that at the end?
How do they
out?
differ?
Between an enema and a colonic?
Colonics and enemas. Yes. What is the difference?
Okay. Kimmy's dropping out.
Yeah.
So I think she's asking, what's the difference between an enema and a colonic?
The point of this?
Oh, okay. So the colonic, the basis or the premise behind that is it obviously puts warm water in, and it sends the warm water in and basically just washes through the intestine and gets rid of any debris or any matter that may have embedded in there from undigested food. And, it cycles through. So there's quite a lot of water that goes through, and it's a gentle process of just eliminating. The coffee enema is more specific because the coffee actually goes in, and what it does is it basically asks the liver to release bile, and this is a simplistic term, but it asks the liver to release bile, and bile is where you hold all your toxins. So not only does the coffee go in and take away all the undigested food and the debris and help get rid of, any parasites or anything that's stuck in there, but it goes in and helps the liver to release that bile, to release the toxins. And so it's a wonderful tool at trying to, at helping the body eliminate toxins, as well as cleaning up the whole digestive system and any debris or undigested food that might be in there. So I prefer the coffee enemas because they're at home, you're in control, but also it has such a significant impact on the liver, and pretty much everyone who's got gut problems, their liver's not doing so well. And so especially when you go about a process of cleaning up your gut, and we were talking about this before, you release a lot of toxins. So you want to use those coffee enemas to help get those toxins out so the inflammation's low and you don't feel just as terrible. And as Casey knows, you feel terrible anyway when you do when you're doing it.
Yeah.
So the coffee enemas are just like that lovely tool to help your body. It's just that helping hand.
Yeah, and I just know what she's like. Every day I speak to her and I write down how she's feeling and the changes that are happening. And I think it's really important that as the changes happen, that there's somebody there to help them understand what's happening.
And that's the thing. It happens. Something new happens every week, and something different needs to happen every week. And it's not a static program, or it's not a static thing, healing. What was really good at the start, we started Casey on so much, high quality fats and high quality protein. But now as her body's got strong and she's helped, the nutrients are starting to build up in her system, she's intuitively wanting more cleansing foods. And so, even her body's telling her, I'm through this now, I'm rebuilding, I'm ready to cleanse out all those toxins and all that other stuff, which is the fallout from what's happened to me. So, yeah, and, what she's going to need in another couple of months is completely different again. So you can't sort of just think that, I'll just go on this diet and I'll be fixed, because there's so many steps and so many processes that you need to go through to get there.
It's like unraveling. It's like, when you pass the parcel, I'm noticing this. So we take the first layer off, and you can't get to the second layer until you've taken the first layer off. And it just keeps getting deeper. And that's one of the things that I've learned from you, is that sometimes we don't go deep enough, and we don't
get to that point that we have to get to in order to do a complete healing. And I remember when we started this, Casey said, "A month, Mum, I'll be right in a month." And that was, that was what she wanted, was to be well in a month.
Yeah.
And I don't think she realised the layers that she had to go through. Now she does. She now understands it. And it must be hard when you're coaching someone who has had nothing like what Casey has had. She's been brought up in a great environment where we always talk about health, that it's always been part of what we do. And she knew exactly what to do, and she knew she had to do it, and that was it. Whereas there must be people who come to you that are just getting off McDonald's. Would I be right?
Yeah, absolutely. And and just explaining, like what are nourishing foods and what are foods that are going to affect you, and a lot of my clients, it's just actually navigating with them how do their day runs. Like, okay, so you've got, as you know, I've got a client at the moment who's, she's a single mum with kids, and it's like, okay, so how are we going to fit this into your day? When are we going to cook? When are we going to do that? And it's like, I'm my client's personal assistant, because I do obviously do that 24-hour support and the emails and, text messages and stuff, because at the start you need someone there. And I don't want someone to say, oh, I don't have time for this, or it's just too hard because this is my life. Like that, as you would know, I see that as, okay, that's an excuse. How do we get over that and fix that problem?
Yeah. Definitely.
So Kirsty, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say we're coming to the end, and I'm really keen to, I guess, to get a bit of an outline for where people can start, because there's going to be so many people listening to this show today thinking, wow, I want her in my back pocket. I want her to come and just live in my house. Kim has sent me a private message saying, do you think we can get her to come and live with us?
I've already asked you to the sunshine.
So no doubt everybody that's listening to the show is thinking, I'm onto it. I'm motivated. You've inspired us beyond belief. Your knowledge is just so profound and spot on that you've made us all feel really, really safe with listening to you and being able to trust the direction that you give us. So what do you think for somebody, I think it's fair to say that a lot of the people who listen to the show, they're very Cyndified, and they are very aware that good food, whole food, real food, organic food is the best way to go. And even if they're not practicing it daily, it's their intention. So for the most part, for people like that who do know that they have gut issues, what would be the first 3 things you should suggest that they do? And then how the hell do they get you in their back pocket?
Well, the first 3 things that they would need to do is, I would highly recommend that they understand probiotics and they understand the importance of therapeutic strength of probiotics, because you can't just change your gut microbiome by taking a supermarket probiotic. There's just not enough. They call them CFUs. That's how we measure the amount of bacteria in a probiotic. And so you really need to get onto some really good therapeutic quality probiotics. And, obviously our cultures are really good for that, because you can make awesome food and get the probiotics as well.
So everybody listening can get cultures from you. They don't have to go searching frantically around. They can get them from you.
Yeah, so you just go on to culturedwellness.com, and Culture Wellness starts with a K, so K for Cultured Wellness. And, you can order the cultures from there. So,
are they dairy?
No, they're in a coconut base. So we have a kefir one, a coconut kefir one, and also a coconut yogurt one. So there's no fillers, no dairy. Awesome for people who have, they might be on GAPS or they're low FODMAPs or
vegan.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah, histamine problems, anything like that. They really are. They just tick the box for anyone who's got any severe health and chronic health issues.
Cool. Okay, so first step is to get onto some cultures to start doing some fermenting.
Yeah, definitely. The second thing is I would highly recommend that you take responsibility for your health. So a lot of people are on that merry-go-round of going from this practitioner to that practitioner and this specialist to that specialist, and that just won't get you anywhere. You need to spend that time and that money bunkering down and doing the stuff that they know what they need to do. When people are on that merry-go-round, they know that they've done the research, they've seen the specialist, they know they've got this problem, but it's easier to go and see everyone else rather than sit at your home and go, oh, God, I really do have to do this. So it's, it's taking responsibility and, okay, I'm in this mess, I'm going to get myself out of this, and how am I going to do that? And let's just unpack it and put it step by step and get there.
So doing some research on what sort of diet is best for their condition? So go and do the tests and find out what your condition is first, and then...
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Look, it's really hard to say. I mean, really...
Can I answer that one? So, Karen, when Casey started and I can only just say what happened with us. When Casey had this interview, we started that day. We didn't wait for tests. We would have been waiting 3.5 weeks for a test, and we're waiting 8 weeks for another test. We weren't hanging around. And I think what happens is you go to the specialist, you have a test, and you wait 3 months for the results. And I don't think people can wait. I think that it's about, you got to clean that gut first. That gut has to be done as number one. Did I put that eloquently enough, Kirsty?
Absolutely. And, in amongst that is that, yes, you can go and get the test done, but if you're still consuming high amounts of sugar and carbohydrates, your gut is not going to thank you for that. So
cutting out sugars and carbohydrates.
Yeah, and, there's this whole raw food thing at the moment, and raw desserts and green smoothies and juices, and that concerns me a lot because people are just drinking copious and eating copious amounts of sugar. And those things, they deplete your liver, they deplete your methylation, and they certainly deplete your gut microbiome. So you've got to be, every time you put something in your mouth, you need to think, is this building my gut microbiome? Is it feeding it? Is it nourishing it? Is it nourishing my liver? Is it nourishing my body? Is it helping me to thrive? And a lot of the, so-called healthy foods don't do that, because the liver requires very specific nutrients in that, second phase of the liver for the body to excrete and to remain healthy and strong, and that's proteins and amino acids and, certain vitamins and minerals, and they're found in the boring foods.
I don't think they're boring.
Well, I don't.
Give us some examples.
Oh, no, I love them.
Give us
Karen's
some examples.
Karen's going to freak, by the way, Kirsty.
Well, give us some examples for meat eaters. Give us some examples for vegos.
So one of the best foods to start with for you if you're really, really on, in trouble, using organ meat, so making some liver pate would be wonderful. It is, it's the most dense food that you can get, and so it's going to really set you up to help you with trying to, getting those neurotransmitters going and trying to lift the fog a little bit.
And the veggie option? The veggie option? Is there a veggie option?
Yeah, artichokes are really good because they're going to feed your gut microbiome. Chickpeas are wonderful at feeding your gut microbiome. So hummus would be really good at feeding your gut microbiome. But I must say that you've got to have a very robust gut microbiome to be able to handle chickpeas and hummus and those sorts of things. So, people who have got, IBS or any problems at the moment, they would find those foods pretty tough to take. So, yeah. Sticking with, like fermentable fibres and stuff, broccolis and onions and garlic and all those sorts of things would be really, really good for a vegetarian diet.
Right.
And the cruciferous vegetables that we were making into a mash, that would help out too with the vegetarian diet. But I don't know, can a vegetarian or a vegan, can you work with someone like that, Kirsty?
Absolutely.
You can.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to be careful about your B12 intake because obviously, B12 is carried in amino acids, and the most usable form for that is found in protein, meat protein. You can find it in spirulina and you can find it in different options, but you just, nut out the best plan. If someone, is vegan or vegetarian, you work out how best to rebuild their gut within, what that person's philosophy is. So, yeah. It's harder for me to do because bone broths are, oh, there you go. I should have put that as my number 3 one to get started straight away.
Well, that's okay. That brings us to number 3. That's great.
Bone broths are the building blocks to certainly what I do, and the building blocks to health. Like not only is the vitamins and nutrients, and it's so wonderful and it's so easily to absorb because it just, just sort of your body just drinks it in as you're drinking it. But secondly, it provides like that glycine and proline that your liver needs to detoxify, and it's got all of the collagen in it to help all your joints, and it goes in there and it sort of patches up all the holes in your gut for leaky gut, and it is just such an important food. So when I work with someone who's vegan or vegetarian, that is something that I really work with them. Okay, how are we going to get around this? And we use kombus and certain broths like that to try and get around that. But the main thing is, obviously people can go onto our website and, I have 6-month packages and they can work with me, and that's wonderful. But we're getting pretty close to getting the program up and running on our website, so people can go online and, they can have a version of it that they can work with, on the website. But if you've got some serious problems and you need a health coach, then you really do need to do it with someone. And, obviously that's what I do and I really enjoy it. But it's hard to do it on your own, very hard.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just, putting all jokes aside, I think that, vegan, vegetarian, whatever it is, it kind of is irrelevant, because at the end of the day, it's the gut health that needs to be healed. And whatever it takes for whoever it is really the message that you're giving us here today. It's like, don't stick your head in the sand. Don't think that you can walk away from this. Don't pretend it's not happening. For the most part, of people that I know, for the most part, people I know have been struggling with this for, close to 10, 15, 20 years. So it's it's a question of at what point does quality of life become paramount? And it's kind of like that analogy. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. It's kind of like you put a frog in boiling water and it's going to jump out straight away. So you look at Casey, she's the frog in boiling water. You can see it straight away. But for everybody else, it's like you put a frog in cold water, you turn the heat up and he boils, because he doesn't notice the heat turning up. And it's not that anybody's putting any frogs in water. Nobody's putting any frogs in any water, not on my watch anyway. But just as an analogy, it's kind of like that. And most people don't know what clarity, health, vitality, energy, lightness, ease of movement, functionality, suppleness. They don't know what that feels like because they've been without it for so long that this is normal.
Yeah, their new normal is not actually normal.
And it's
been so long.
And to invest the time and the money into a fictitious almost adventure, because this is, the poor normal is the normal. So they're thinking, well, I'm not dead. Everything's kind of okay. I mean, geez, it's all right. So if I'm going to go and invest all of that money into something that I don't know or I don't remember, I think that's the biggest hurdle that today's podcast will hopefully help everybody jump. Because what you've explained today, certainly from my point of view, and I know I'm going to share this with everybody that I know, especially my family, what you've explained today is a whole new way of experiencing life that is worth pursuing with ferocity for as long as it takes, because on the other side is more bliss than I think we've ever what we can ever remember.
Yeah, and I have to tell the story of my parents, because my mum was on blood pressure tablets. She could barely walk. She was extremely overweight. Like, you name it. She had all sorts of problems. And, you know, one day I just said, Mum, I can just sort all that out for you. You just got to let me work with you. It really is that easy. Like, I can sort it out. And she was like, oh, no, but I'm fine. I'm managing. I'm fine. And so her normal was, I'm just fine. I was like, well, you can't really play with the grandkids, and who wants to be on blood pressure tablets? And, yeah, and, you know, from working with her, I think she was off her blood pressure tablets in maybe a month, maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
And my dad, you know, we unfortunately, and, you know, got all of our genetic problems from him. And he's, you know, it took him till he was 65 to actually have quality of life for the first time. He just, it's like he woke up and he said, oh, I can process things. I can, you know, my life has changed, and he's now fulfilling his dream. All he wanted to do was go and teach with the Aboriginal people up on the lands, and he feels so well and so connected and so, you know, just you talk about that bliss. Like, he just feels right there that he's now fulfilling his dream at, you know, 67.
What's a reasonable amount of time to give yourself proper healing? Like, what could people expect?
Well,
are we talking 2 years, 2 months? Like,
well, there is that old saying: for as many years as you've had it, it's at least a month.
Okay, so for me, it would be 40 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, you are.
That's why I'm so serious about people. Like, this just doesn't happen overnight, and there's so many layers to peeling back the onion. And yeah, but on the other side, you just, you know, like I was talking about Dad, you just get to achieve the goals and do what you want to do and really feel content.
And you know what else it does is it enables you to do more than just survive. You begin to thrive, and it sounds like your dad's thriving and your family's thriving. And I know now, you know, I spoke to Casey last night, and it was 10:30 in New Zealand, and I went, honey, it's 10:30. What are you doing up? And she went, I went out to a party. And I went, honey, you're normally in bed at this time. She said, I haven't had a sleep. I'm feeling, you know. So she went to a party that she was able to go to. She left, you know, at 10:30. And she rang me on her way home. And so instead of her just surviving the exams and everything else she's had to go through over the last, you know, since April, she is now beginning to put her head above that seawater and starting to see more about her world and her life. And I think that is probably the most important thing that people have to realise, is that if you are just doing it, because that's all you can do is put one foot in front of you, it's time that you start to make some changes and start to get your health back. And for, you know, as Kirsty and I were talking, you know, 30 years ago, all we had to do was just change them from a junk food diet to a real food diet. But because there are generations and generations now of poor microbiomes and the passing on from generation to generation, we have sicker and sicker children, and we have to do more and more extreme, perhaps, protocols in order to get us well. And I think that's where you come in, is that I take them from, you know, that junk food diet to that, and then they realise that, hey, there's more here. I've got to keep peeling back these onion layers, and that's what you've got to do. And I know everybody in the office, my whole family, all want to do the protocol now.
I think too, an interesting conversation, and probably. Yeah. Sorry, Kirsty, you go.
No, you go. That's fine.
No, I was just going to say, I think that there's another conversation in this around how stress affects, you know, the health of the gut, and what, you know, like looking at a really holistic approach, because I think that we're such complex creatures. I'm just picturing it, you know, Cyndi, you doing the food and the nutrition and the whole food and all of that, and it's like there's all these different pieces to the puzzle that makes us this incredibly innate, amazing piece of life that we just need to master. But this has been such an eye-opening conversation. Kirsty, you're a champion.
Yeah, so I was just saying there's so many components to it. So it's not just about, oh, well, if I eat this food, I'm going to get better. Because, you know, if you're in a job that is just really stressing you out and it's not, you know, fulfilling your dreams, or if you're in a toxic relationship, or if you're not exercising, you're not getting enough nature, sun, like there's, you know, so much that I cover in my program and so much that is so important. It's not just about eating broccoli. So,
amazing.
You know, and that's actually really hard. Some people come to these real crisis points when they're going through this, because it's like, oh my gosh, one of my close friends is not helping me. They're actually hindering me. And, you know, we have to really unpack that and what does that mean and how to manage that. So, yeah, there is so many layers and so many components to it that in traditional times you would have just had someone along with you to help you with that, but it doesn't happen that way anymore.
Well,
we have mothers. That's what we have. We have mothers.
Well, you're a champion. Yeah. You're a champion, Kirsty. Yeah. Just an absolute champion, my love. Thank you so much. I mean, for everything that you are and everything that you're doing. You're just, you're an exceptional human being, and we're very blessed to share the planet with you, really.
Thank you. I've gone very bright red. Thank you.
But here we have another mother. And educated. I'm not just, that's not where I am, but this is what happens. A mother gets into crisis. She says, right, what do I have to do in order? They become lionesses in order to save my children. And I'm so glad that you became a lioness, Kirsty. I really am.
Yeah, me too. I love my kids.
Beautiful soul.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this has been an incredible conversation, Kirsty, and I think for everybody who's been listening to the show, I'm on Kirsty's website right now, and it's kulturedwellness.com. So it's KULTURED wellness.com. And I think you're about to be absolutely inundated with inquiries and orders, my friend. So get ready.
Good. I want to share as much probiotic love as I can.
Good.
To me. Yeah.
Good. We'll get ready. I'm about to place.
Thank you. I don't feel you, Mika. It's been awesome. And so much.
I think Kimmy's trying to say that it's been awesome, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
So, thank you, my love. Thank you for being a part of the show, and no doubt we're going to get lots of questions for you. Are you happy for us to send them your way?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you. If you send them through to the info@kulturedwellness.com.
info@kulturedwellness.com, and I reckon we probably even might get a chance to get you back on the show again. So,
I hope so.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Definitely.
And I feel like we've only just touched the surface of the iceberg there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely. I actually find it really hard because there's just so much to talk about that I almost get a bit tongue-tied because I don't know where to start. So, there's a lot to talk about.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, my love, and for everybody who's been listening to today's show, hopefully you guys have absolutely loved the show as much as we have. I think it's opened up so many questions and so much clarity. So, go down the rabbit hole, do some research, track Kirsty down, get onto Kultured Wellness, start to take responsibility for your health, as Kirsty said. Get onto some of those cultures for yourself and really be willing to make some changes. And if that's bone broths, if that's the way you've got to go, then so be it. But I think, Cindy's been talking about that forever. But I think the key in the message is just, get into action. Stop thinking that near enough is good enough, because what we've got in our lives can be so much better. And there's evidence of people like Kirsty and Cyndi and Casey out there who are examples for us to follow. So go ahead and do that, and post your comments about today's show at allthews.facebook.com/up-for-a-chat. And you can also post all of your comments at allthews.thewellnesscouch.com/up-for-a-chat. Now join us here next week where we're going to be getting down the rabbit hole, getting excited, down and dirty. You know it. That's what we do. Come and hang out with us. We love you. Sending hugs down the airwaves. Join us here next week on Up for a Chat and become part of the ripple effect that's changing the world. We'll see you on the ride. I just got a little bit carried away there.
Yeah.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.